Maya Johnson woke up early that Tuesday morning, just like she did every other day of the week. The sun was barely rising over the city skyline when she stepped out of her small apartment. She lived in a modest neighborhood on the east side of town, where the buildings were old but the people were kind. Maya was 24 years old, and she had been working as a waitress at the Golden Palm restaurant for almost 3 years now. The Golden Palm was a popular spot downtown, known for its elegant decor and expensive menu. Business people came for lunch meetings, families celebrated special occasions there, and wealthy customers often filled the tables on weekend evenings. Maya loved her job most days. She enjoyed meeting new people and making them smile. She took pride in remembering regular customers' favorite orders and going the extra mile to ensure everyone had a pleasant experience. Maya had grown up in a working-class family. Her mother worked as a nurse at the local hospital, often taking double shifts to make ends meet. Her father had passed away when Maya was just 16, leaving behind medical bills that took years to pay off. Maya had 2 younger brothers, both still in high school, who depended on her help with their school expenses. She sent money home every month without fail. Even though life was not easy, Maya never complained. She believed in hard work and dignity. That morning, as Maya walked to the bus stop, she thought about her dreams. She wanted to go back to college someday. She had completed 2 years of business administration before she had to drop out to help her family financially. Her notebooks and textbooks still sat on the shelf in her bedroom, waiting for the day she could afford to continue her education. But for now, her priority was making sure her brothers graduated and her mother did not have to work such long hours anymore. The bus ride to downtown took about 40 minutes. Maya used that time to listen to podcasts about entrepreneurship and small business management. She dreamed of opening her own cafe one day, something cozy and welcoming where people could gather and feel at home. She imagined herself not just as an employee, but as a business owner, creating jobs for others and building something meaningful. These dreams kept her motivated on the difficult days. When Maya arrived at the Golden Palm, she greeted her co-workers warmly. There was Carlos, the head chef, who always had a joke ready to lighten the mood. There was Linda, another waitress who had become Maya's closest friend at work. And there was Mr. Peterson, the manager, a fair man in his 50s who treated his staff with respect. The restaurant team felt like a second family to Maya. They supported each other through busy rushes and challenging customers. Maya changed into her uniform, a crisp white blouse and black pants with a smart vest. She tied her hair back neatly and checked her appearance in the mirror. Presentation mattered at the Golden Palm. The restaurant prided itself on professionalism, and Maya always made sure she looked her best. She believed that taking pride in her appearance was part of taking pride in her work. The lunch shift started at 11 o'clock, but Maya always arrived an hour early to help with preparations. She set tables, folded napkins into elegant shapes, and made sure the silverware sparkled. She checked the reservation book to see if any regular customers were expected that day. Being prepared made her job easier and helped her provide better service. As the clock approached 11, the first customers began arriving. Maya greeted them with her warm smile, the same smile that had earned her many compliments and generous tips over the years. She was known among the staff as someone who could handle difficult situations with grace. She remained calm when orders got mixed up, patient when customers were indecisive, and kind even when people were rude. But today would test Maya in ways she had never been tested before. Today would be the day that would change everything. As she carried menus to a newly seated table and welcomed them to the Golden Palm, Maya had no idea that before the afternoon was over, she would have to make a decision that required more courage than anything she had ever done. She did not know that standing up for herself would set in motion a series of events that would transform not just her life, but the lives of others around her. This ordinary Tuesday was about to become extraordinary. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Maya noticed a commotion near the restaurant entrance. 3 expensive cars pulled up to the valet parking area. Their sleek black paint gleamed under the midday sun, and their chrome details sparkled like jewels. Maya had seen luxury vehicles before at the Golden Palm, but something about these cars felt different. They radiated wealth and power in a way that made people stop and stare. The restaurant's front doors opened, and a group of 4 young men walked in. They were all dressed in designer clothes, wearing watches that probably cost more than Maya earned in a year. The man leading the group had an air of confidence that bordered on arrogance. He was tall, with styled blonde hair and sunglasses that he did not bother to remove even indoors. This was Ethan Wilson, though Maya did not know his name yet. The hostess, a young woman named Sophie, greeted them professionally, Ethan barely acknowledged her. Instead, he scanned the dining room as if he owned the place. His eyes moved from table to table, evaluating everything with a critical gaze. His three friends followed behind him, laughing loudly at something one of them had said. Their voices carried across the restaurant, causing some diners to look up from their meals with slight frowns. Sophie led them to a table near the window, one of the best spots in the restaurant. It offered a view of the busy street outside and the city park beyond. Ethan sat down without thanking her. His friends took their seats, still chatting and laughing. They seemed completely unaware of, or perhaps unconcerned with, the fact that their loud behavior was disturbing other guests. Mr. Peterson, the manager, approached Maya in the service area. He had a slightly worried expression on his face. Maya noticed this immediately because Mr. Peterson was usually calm and composed. "Maya, I need you to take table 12, he said quietly. "The Wilson party. Be extra attentive. But also be careful, the young Mr. Wilson has a reputation." Maya nodded, though she felt a small flutter of concern in her stomach. She had dealt with entitled customers before, but something in Mr. Peterson's tone suggested this might be different. She took a deep breath, straightened her vest, and walked toward table 12 with menus in hand. Her professional smile was firmly in place. "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Welcome to the Golden Palm," Maya said warmly as she approached the table. "My name is Maya, and I will be taking care of you today. Can I start you off with something to drink?" Ethan finally removed his sunglasses and looked up at Maya. His eyes traveled slowly from her face down to her feet and back up again in a way that made Maya's skin crawl. It was not the appreciative glance of someone admiring professional appearance. It was something else entirely. Something that made Maya feel uncomfortable and objectified. "Well, well," Ethan said with a smirk. "Looks like the service here just got a lot more interesting." His friends chuckled. One of them, a red-headed man with a cocky grin, added, "Yeah, forget the menu. You are definitely the most appetizing thing in this place." Maya maintained her smile, though it felt more forced now. She had learned early in her waitressing career to ignore inappropriate comments, to let them roll off her back like water off a duck. "Thank you for the compliment," she said diplomatically, keeping her voice professional. "Now, about those drinks. We have an excellent selection of wines, craft beers, and specialty cocktails." Ethan leaned back in his chair, spreading his arms in a gesture that took up more space than necessary. "I will have a whiskey, top shelf, none of that cheap stuff," he said, then added, "And sweetheart, make sure you bring it personally. I would hate for anyone else to interrupt our connection here." The other men laughed again. Maya felt her jaw tighten slightly, but she kept her composure. "Of course, sir. And for your friends?" she asked. Turning to the others, they placed their drink orders. Each one managing to include some form of flirtatious or suggestive comment, Maya wrote everything down carefully, maintaining her professional demeanor despite the growing discomfort she felt. When she turned to leave, she heard one of them whistle low under his breath. Back in the service area, Linda noticed Maya's tense expression. "You okay?" she asked. Concern evident in her voice, Maya nodded. "Just some guys who think they are God's gift to women," she replied quietly. "Nothing I have not handled before." But even as she said it, something told her this situation might be different. Maya prepared their drinks with care, despite their rudeness. She would not lower her standards of service. She believed in doing her job well, regardless of how customers treated her. It was a matter of personal pride and professional integrity. She placed each glass on a tray and carried it back to table 12. As she approached, she could hear Ethan talking loudly to his friends. "Watch this," he was saying. "I bet I can get her number before we leave." His friends laughed, and one said, "Dude, you always get what you want. It is not even a fair bet." Maya's heart sank. She realized this was not going to be a simple case of tolerating a few inappropriate comments. These men, particularly Ethan, seemed to view her not as a person doing her job, but as entertainment, as a challenge, as something to be conquered. She set the drinks down carefully, one by one, trying to maintain distance from the table. "Here are your drinks, gentlemen. Are you ready to order? Or do you need a few more minutes with the menu?" Maya asked. Keeping her tone neutral and professional, Ethan picked up his whiskey and took a sip, his eyes never leaving Maya's face. "Oh, I know exactly what I want," he said. His meaning clear to everyone at the table. His friends erupted in laughter, and Maya felt her cheeks grow warm, not from embarrassment, but from rising anger that she had to carefully control. This was only the beginning, Maya realized. The afternoon was about to get much more difficult. Maya stood at table 12, her notepad ready. Waiting for their food orders, she had dealt with difficult customers countless times before. But Ethan and his friends seemed determined to make this experience particularly challenging. The whiskey had loosened their tongues even more, and their comments grew bolder with each passing minute. "So, Maya," Ethan said, dragging out her name as if tasting it. "That is a beautiful name. Tell me, what does a gorgeous woman like you do when you are not working here?" "Do you have a boyfriend who is lucky enough to take you out?" Maya kept her expression neutral. "I appreciate your interest, sir, but I prefer to keep things professional now. What can I get for you from our menu?" She pointed to the lunch specials. Hoping to redirect the conversation, one of Ethan's friends, a man with dark hair slicked back with too much gel, leaned forward. "Come on, do not be so cold. We are just being friendly. You do want good tips." "Do not you?" The implied threat was clear. Their generosity would depend on her willingness to entertain their behavior. Maya had encountered this manipulation before. Customers who believed their money gave them the right to treat service workers however they wanted. She took a slow breath, maintaining her professionalism. "All of our guests receive excellent service regardless, sir. The Golden Palm prides itself on treating every customer with respect. And we hope to receive the same in return," the red-headed friend laughed. "Oh, she has got spirit, I like that," he looked at Ethan. "This one is not going to make it easy for you, man." Ethan's smile faded slightly. His ego was clearly not accustomed to rejection, even subtle ones. "I will have the ribeye steak. Rare, very rare," he said, his tone cooling. "And make sure the chef knows I want it done right. Last time I ate at a place like this, they ruined a perfectly good piece of meat." Maya wrote down the order. "Of course, sir, our chef Carlos is excellent. I am confident you will be satisfied." She turned to the others. "And for you, gentlemen," as they gave their orders, Maya noticed other diners glancing over at their table. The group's loud voices and boisterous laughter were disturbing the peaceful atmosphere that the Golden Palm was known for. An elderly couple 2 tables away looked particularly annoyed. The gentleman was frowning, and his wife whispered something to him while looking in Ethan's direction. Maya collected the menus and headed back to the kitchen. As she walked away, she heard Ethan's voice behind her. "Nice view from this angle, guys," followed by more laughter. Maya's hands gripped the menus tighter. Her face felt hot with anger and humiliation, but she kept walking with her head held high. In the kitchen, Carlos was busy at the grill. The sounds of sizzling food and clanging pots filled the air. Maya handed him the order ticket. "Table 12, she said. "They want everything perfect, especially the ribeye." Here, Carlos glanced at the ticket and then at Maya's face. He had known her long enough to read her expressions. "Difficult table?" he asked. "You could say that," Maya replied. She did not want to complain. But Carlos's kind eyes invited honesty. "They are being inappropriate, making comments." "You know the type." Carlos's expression hardened. "You want me to talk to Mr. Peterson?" Maya shook her head. "Not yet, I can handle it. I just need to get through their meal and hopefully they will leave." She managed a small smile. "I have dealt with worse. Remember that guy last year who threw his soup because it was too hot?" Carlos chuckled. "That was insane, okay, but you let me know if it gets worse." "You should not have to put up with disrespect. Money does not give anyone that right." Maya nodded gratefully and returned to the dining room. She checked on her other tables, refilling water glasses and ensuring everyone had what they needed. Being busy helped distract her from the anxiety she felt about returning to table 12. 20 minutes later, the food was ready. Maya carefully arranged the plates on a large tray. Making sure each dish looked perfect, she carried the heavy tray with practiced ease, balancing it on her shoulder as she navigated between tables. When she reached table 12, she began setting down plates, starting with the person furthest from her. "Here's the grilled salmon," she said, placing it in front of the red-headed man. "And the pasta carbonara," she continued. Serving the next guest, she worked her way around the table, announcing each dish as she set it down. Finally, she placed the ribeye in front of Ethan. "Your steak, sir. Cooked rare as requested. Please be careful. The plate is very hot." As Maya set down the plate, Ethan suddenly reached out and placed his hand on her forearm. His grip was firm, too firm. Maya froze. Her professional training told her to stay calm, but every instinct screamed at her to pull away. "You have got such soft skin," Ethan said, his thumb rubbing against her arm. "I bet you are this soft everywhere." His friends went quiet, watching the scene unfold with smirks on their faces. Maya looked down at his hand on her arm, then directly into his eyes. Her voice was steady but firm. "Sir, I need you to remove your hand from my arm." Now, Ethan's eyebrows raised in mock surprise. "Oh, come on, do not be so sensitive. I am just being friendly, appreciating good service," but he did not remove his hand. Instead, his grip seemed to tighten slightly. The elderly couple Maya had noticed earlier was watching now. The gentleman looked concerned. Other diners had stopped eating. Sensing the tension, Maya's heart was pounding. But her resolve was stronger. "Sir, I am asking you one more time to remove your hand. This is not appropriate. And it is making me uncomfortable." Her voice carried across the quiet restaurant. Ethan laughed, but there was an edge to it now. "Uncomfortable? Come on, sweetheart. I am not your sweetheart," Maya interrupted, her voice rising slightly. "I am your server, and you need to take your hand off me right now." She pulled her arm back firmly. Breaking his grip, the restaurant had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching. Ethan's face flushed red. Whether from embarrassment or anger, Maya could not tell. His friends looked uncomfortable now, their earlier amusement replaced with awkward tension. "You have got some nerve," Ethan said, his voice low and threatening. "Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea what I could do to this place?" "To your job." Maya stood her ground. "I do not care who you are, sir. No one has the right to touch me without my permission." She turned and walked away. Heading straight for Mr. Peterson's office, her legs felt shaky, but she kept her head high. Behind her, she could hear Ethan's angry voice. But she did not look back. Something had shifted inside Maya. She had reached her limit. Maya walked quickly toward the back of the restaurant, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Her hands trembled slightly as she pushed open the door to the hallway that led to Mr. Peterson's office. Behind her, she could hear the murmur of confused voices from the dining room and Ethan's angry tone rising above the rest. Linda caught up with her in the hallway, grabbing Maya's shoulder gently. "Maya, what happened? I saw everything from the service station. Are you okay?" Her friend's face was filled with concern and anger on Maya's behalf. Maya stopped and took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "He touched me, Linda. He grabbed my arm and would not let go, even after I asked him to stop." Her voice cracked slightly, the adrenaline beginning to wear off and leaving behind a mixture of anger and hurt. "That is completely unacceptable," Linda said firmly. "You need to tell Mr. Peterson right now. That guy cannot get away with that. I do not care how much money he has." Maya nodded and continued to the manager's office. She knocked on the door, and Mr. Peterson's voice called out, "Come in." When she entered, he looked up from his desk. Immediately noticing her distressed expression, he stood up quickly. "Maya, what is wrong?" Maya explained everything. From the inappropriate comments when they first arrived to the unwanted physical contact just moments ago. Mr. Peterson listened carefully, his expression growing more serious with each detail. When Maya finished, he was quiet for a moment, his jaw tight with controlled anger. "I am so sorry this happened to you," Mr. Peterson said finally. "You should never have to experience that at work or anywhere. Thank you for coming to me immediately." He walked around his desk. "Let us go talk to them together. This behavior will not be tolerated in my restaurant. I do not care who they are." As they walked back toward the dining room, Mr. Peterson asked, "Do you know which table it was?" "Table 12, Maya replied. "The tall blonde man, his name is Ethan Wilson. I heard his friends call him that." Mr. Peterson stopped in his tracks, his face going slightly pale. "Ethan Wilson. Are you certain?" When Maya nodded, he took a deep breath. "The Wilson family owns half the commercial real estate in this city, including this building." He paused, then his expression hardened with resolve. "But that changes nothing. What he did was wrong, and he needs to leave." Maya felt a rush of gratitude for her manager. She knew this decision could have serious consequences for the restaurant and for his own job, yet he was standing by her without hesitation. They entered the dining room together. The atmosphere was still tense. Conversations at other tables had resumed, but they were quieter than before. People kept glancing toward table 12, where Ethan and his friends sat. Ethan was gesturing wildly, clearly still angry, talking loudly to his companions. Mr. Peterson walked directly to their table. Maya followed a step behind, her heart racing again but feeling stronger with her manager beside her. "Gentlemen," Mr. Peterson said in a calm but firm voice, "I am Stephen Peterson, the manager of this establishment. I understand there has been an incident." Ethan looked up, his face still flushed. "An incident? Is that what you call it? Your waitress just embarrassed me in front of the entire restaurant. She accused me of something completely ridiculous. I want her fired immediately." Mr. Peterson did not flinch. "Sir, I have heard both sides of this situation. My employee informed me that you made repeated inappropriate comments and then physically grabbed her arm without her consent. Is that accurate?" "I barely touched her," Ethan scoffed. "She is being overly dramatic. These servers are always looking for attention or trying to get money out of wealthy customers." He looked at his friends for support, and the red-headed one nodded, though less enthusiastically than before. An unexpected voice interrupted. "That is not what I saw." Everyone turned to look at the elderly gentleman from 2 tables away. He stood up, his wife beside him. "I watched the whole thing, young man. You grabbed that young lady's arm and she clearly asked you multiple times to let go. You were behaving inappropriately from the moment you arrived." His wife nodded in agreement. "My husband is right. We have been coming to this restaurant for 15 years. And we have always been impressed by the professionalism of the staff." This young woman did nothing wrong. She was defending herself. Several other diners murmured in agreement. A businesswoman in a sharp suit called out, "I saw it too. She asked him to stop. And he refused." Ethan's face grew even redder. But now it seemed more from embarrassment than anger. He clearly had not expected other customers to speak up. His friends shifted uncomfortably in their seats, suddenly very interested in their plates. Mr. Peterson nodded gratefully to the elderly couple, then turned back to Ethan. "Based on multiple witness accounts and my employee's report, I'm going to have to ask you and your party to leave the restaurant immediately. There will be no charge for your meals. You are kicking me out, Ethan said, his voice rising with disbelief. Do you have any idea who my father is? He owns this building, with one phone call. I could have you shut down, I could have you fired. I could make sure you never work in this city again. Mr. Peterson remained calm, though Maya could see his hands were clenched at his sides. That may be true, sir, but right now, in this moment, I am responsible for the safety and well-being of my staff. What you did was harassment. And possibly assault. I will not allow anyone, regardless of their family name or wealth, to treat my employees that way. The entire restaurant was watching now. Some people had their phones out. Maya realized with a start that some of them might be recording. The thought made her nervous, but also strangely empowered. There would be evidence of what happened here today. Ethan stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. This is not over, he said, pointing at Mr. Peterson. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. He threw his napkin on the table and looked at Maya. And you are going to regret this, I promise you that. His friend stood up reluctantly, clearly wanting to distance themselves from the situation. As they walked toward the exit, Ethan pulled out his phone, already dialing. Dad, you are not going to believe what just happened. His voice carried back across the restaurant. When the door closed behind them, the dining room erupted in applause. The elderly couple smiled at Maya, the businesswoman gave her a thumbs up, and several other diners nodded approvingly. Maya felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from overwhelming relief and gratitude. Mr. Peterson turned to her. Are you all right? Maya nodded. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for standing up for me. Always, mister. Peterson said firmly. Now take a break, go get some water, sit down for a few minutes. I will handle the floor. As Maya walked to the break room, Linda hugged her tightly. Carlos emerged from the kitchen and gave her a supportive nod. Maya felt surrounded by care and respect, but in the back of her mind, Ethan's threat echoed. This was not over. She had no idea how right he was, but not in the way either of them expected. Maya sat in the break room, her hands wrapped around a cup of hot tea that Linda had made for her. The warm ceramic mug grounded her, helping to calm her still racing heart. She could hear the normal sounds of the restaurant through the door, the clinking of silverware, the murmur of conversations, the kitchen staff calling out orders. Everything had returned to its usual rhythm, but Maya knew nothing would ever be quite the same. Linda sat beside her, scrolling through her phone with a shocked expression. Maya, you need to see this, she said, turning the screen toward her friend. Maya looked at the phone and felt her stomach drop. Someone had posted a video on social media. It showed the moment Mr. Peterson asked Ethan to leave. In Ethan's angry response, the video was shaky, clearly filmed discreetly from someone's table, but the audio was clear enough. Ethan's threats, Mr. Peterson's calm professionalism, and the applause from other diners were all captured. It has been up for less than 30 minutes and already has thousands of views, Linda said, her eyes wide. Look at the comments. Everyone is supporting you. Maya scrolled through the comment section with trembling fingers. Hundreds of people were praising her courage, thanking Mr. Peterson for standing up for his employee, and criticizing Ethan's behavior. Some comments came from people who claimed to know the Wilson family, expressing surprise but not disbelief at Ethan's actions. Others shared their own stories of harassment in service industry jobs. This is terrifying, Maya whispered. What if this makes everything worse? What if the Wilson family really does try to shut down the restaurant? Linda squeezed her hand. Or what if this protects you? There are witnesses now. Not just the people in the restaurant, but thousands of people online. They cannot make this disappear. Mr. Peterson knocked and entered the break room. He looked tired but determined. Maya, I wanted to let you know that I have documented everything that happened today. I have written statements, and several customers have given me their contact information as witnesses. He paused. I also want you to know that I have already received a call from the Wilson family's lawyer. Maya's breath caught. What did they say? They threatened legal action for defamation and asked that we issue a public apology, Mr. Peterson said, then smiled slightly. I told them we have multiple witnesses and that we stand by our decision. I also informed them that if they pursue this, we will file a police report for assault. Before Maya could respond, Carlos burst through the door, his phone in his hand. Boss, you need to see this. The local news just picked up the story. He held up his phone, showing a news website with the headline, Restaurant Manager Defends Waitress Against Billionaire's Son. Video goes viral. The article featured screenshots from the video and quotes from witnesses who had been in the restaurant. It praised the Golden Palm for prioritizing employee safety over powerful customers. The journalist had even reached out to workplace harassment experts who commended Mr. Peterson's handling of the situation. This is getting bigger than any of us expected, Mr. Peterson said, running a hand through his hair. Maya, I want you to know that you have my full support. Whatever happens, if you need to take some time off, I completely understand. Maya shook her head slowly. No, I want to work. I did not do anything wrong. I will not hide like I am ashamed. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke. If I disappear now, it sends the message that he won. That his money and power mean more than my dignity. Mr. Peterson smiled with genuine pride. You are incredibly brave, Maya, but I want you to be prepared. This attention might bring both support and criticism. Some people will always defend wealth and privilege, no matter what. Over the next few hours, Maya's prediction proved accurate. The restaurant's phone started ringing constantly. Some calls were from reporters requesting interviews. Others were from supporters calling to make reservations specifically to show their solidarity. But there were also angry calls from people accusing Maya of trying to exploit a wealthy family, or claiming she must have done something to provoke Ethan's behavior. By the time Maya's shift ended that evening, the story had spread across multiple news outlets and social media platforms. The hashtag #StandWithMaya was trending locally. People who had never been to the Golden Palm were posting reviews praising the restaurant's ethics. The reservation book for the next 2 weeks had filled up completely. As Maya walked to the bus stop, she noticed people looking at her. At first, it made her deeply uncomfortable. Then a young woman approached her cautiously. Excuse me, are you Maya? From the Golden Palm. Maya nodded hesitantly, prepared for confrontation. Instead, the woman's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, she said softly. I worked as a server for 6 years. The things I put up with because I needed the job. Because I was told the customer is always right. Seeing you stand up for yourself, seeing your manager support you, it means more than you know. The woman walked away before Maya could respond, leaving her standing at the bus stop with tears in her own eyes. She realized that this was about more than just one incident. More people had shared similar stories in the comments online. Women and men who had been harassed at work, who had been told to smile and tolerate it, who had lost jobs for speaking up on the bus ride home. Maya's phone buzzed constantly with messages. Friends from high school were reaching out. Former co-workers were sending encouragement. Her mother called, worried but proud. Baby! I saw the news, her mother said. Are you safe? Are you okay? I am okay. Mama, Maya assured her. I was scared, but I did the right thing. Yes, you did, her mother said firmly. Your father would be so proud of you standing up for yourself, not letting anyone make you feel small. That takes real strength. When Maya finally arrived home, she collapsed on her couch, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of the day. She opened her social media again, unable to resist checking the ongoing reactions. The video had been viewed over 1 million times now. News outlets across the country were covering the story, discussing workplace harassment and the power dynamics between service workers and wealthy customers. There were opinion pieces being written, some supporting her, others questioning whether Mr. Peterson had overreacted. Some business experts warned that the Golden Palm might face serious consequences for offending the Wilson family. Others argued that the positive publicity would far outweigh any potential retaliation. Maya turned off her phone, needing a break from the constant notifications and opinions. She had done what felt right in the moment. She had stood up for herself when someone crossed a line. Now the whole world seemed to have an opinion about it. As she lay in bed that night, Maya wondered what tomorrow would bring. Would the Wilson family really try to destroy the restaurant? Would Mr. Peterson lose his job for defending her? Would her own life ever return to normal? She had no way of knowing that the biggest surprise was still to come, and that it would arrive not with lawyers and threats, but with the sound of helicopter blades cutting through the morning air. The next morning, Maya woke to the sound of her phone buzzing incessantly on her nightstand. Sunlight streamed through her bedroom curtains, and for a brief, peaceful moment, she forgot about everything that had happened the day before. Then reality came flooding back, and she reached for her phone with a sense of dread. There were dozens of missed calls and hundreds of notifications. News outlets were requesting interviews, strangers were sending messages of support or criticism, and several of her coworkers had texted to tell her that reporters were already gathering outside the Golden Palm. Maya felt overwhelmed. She had never wanted this kind of attention. She had simply wanted to do her job with dignity and respect. Her mother called as she was getting ready for work. "Maya, are you sure you want to go in today?" her mother asked, worry evident in her voice. "Maybe you should stay home. Let things calm down a little. I cannot hide." "Mama?" Maya replied, pulling her hair back into a ponytail. "If I stay home, it looks like I am afraid. Or like I did something wrong, I need to show up," her mother sighed. "You are so much like your father, stubborn and brave, even when it scares me. Just promise me you will be careful, okay?" "I promise," Maya said softly. The bus ride to work felt different that morning. People stared at her, some with recognition, others with curiosity. A middle-aged man gave her a supportive nod. A teenage girl smiled shyly and whispered, "You are amazing," as she passed. Maya tried to stay focused, to keep her emotions in check. But the weight of public attention was heavier than she had anticipated. When she arrived at the Golden Palm, she was shocked by the scene outside. At least a dozen reporters stood near the entrance with cameras and microphones. A small crowd of supporters had gathered. Holding signs that read, "Workers deserve respect" and "Stand with Maya," security guards that Maya had never seen before stood at the door, clearly hired to manage the chaos. As soon as the reporters spotted Maya, they rushed toward her, shouting questions all at once. "Maya, how do you feel about what happened? Are you afraid of retaliation from the Wilson family? Do you plan to press charges? What do you want people to know?" Maya felt paralyzed. The cameras, the questions, the crowd pressing in around her. It was too much. One of the security guards stepped forward, creating a path for her. "Let her through, please." "Step back," he said firmly. Maya hurried inside, her heart pounding. Linda was waiting just inside the door and immediately pulled her into a hug. "I am so glad you are here," Linda said. "It has been crazy since we opened. The phone has not stopped ringing, and we have had customers lining up outside since 6 in the morning, Mr." Peterson emerged from his office looking exhausted but relieved to see Maya. "I am glad you made it safely," he said. "Listen, I want you to know that you do not have to work the floor today if you do not want to. You could help in the back or take the day off with pay. No one would blame you." Maya straightened her shoulders. "I want to work. I want things to feel normal." "Even if they are not, mister." Peterson studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "All right. But if it becomes too much, you tell me immediately." "Deal, deal," Maya agreed. The morning shift was surreal. Every table was full of customers who seemed genuinely happy to be there. Many of them specifically requested Maya as their server. Some wanted to express their support. Others simply wanted to be part of the story. Maya found herself thanking people more than taking orders, accepting hugs from strangers who told her she was brave, listening to people share their own experiences with workplace harassment. Around 11 o'clock, Maya was taking an order at a table near the window when she heard a strange sound. It started as a distant rumble, then grew louder, more distinct. The unmistakable whop-whop-whop of helicopter blades. Conversations in the restaurant began to fade as people noticed the unusual noise. Maya walked to the window and looked up. A sleek black helicopter was descending toward the small park across the street from the restaurant. It was clearly expensive, the kind of aircraft that only the extremely wealthy could afford. The crowd outside began pointing and taking photos with their phones. Reporters scrambled to get their cameras positioned. "What is happening?" Linda asked. Coming to stand beside Maya, "I have no idea," Maya whispered. But a cold feeling of apprehension settled in her stomach. The helicopter landed gracefully in an open area of the park. Its blades gradually slowed, and then the door opened. A man stepped out, tall and distinguished, probably in his late 50s. He wore an impeccably tailored suit and moved with the confident bearing of someone accustomed to power and respect. Even from a distance, Maya could see the resemblance. This man had the same build as Ethan, the same facial structure. This had to be his father. "Oh no," Maya breathed. "Mr. Peterson appeared beside her, his face pale. "That is Robert Wilson," he said quietly, "one of the wealthiest men in the state. He owns hotels, office buildings, shopping centers. He could destroy us with a single phone call." The entire restaurant had gone quiet. Everyone was watching as Robert Wilson crossed the street, followed by two men in dark suits who were clearly bodyguards or assistants. The reporters swarmed him, but he did not stop or acknowledge them. He simply walked with purpose toward the Golden Palms entrance. The security guard opened the door, and Robert Wilson stepped inside. The restaurant felt frozen in time. No one spoke. No one moved. Wilson's eyes scanned the room with sharp intelligence, taking in every detail. Then his gaze landed on Maya, and he began walking directly toward her. Maya's legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stand straight. To meet his eyes, whatever was about to happen, she would face it with the same courage she had shown yesterday. Linda reached out and squeezed her hand briefly before stepping back. Robert Wilson stopped a few feet away from Maya. His expression was unreadable, stern but not angry, evaluating but not hostile. The silence stretched out. Becoming almost unbearable, finally, he spoke. His voice was deep and measured, carrying the weight of authority. "You are Maya Johnson." It was not a question. But Maya answered anyway. "Yes, sir, I am." "I am Robert Wilson," he said. "I believe you met my son yesterday." Maya's throat felt tight, but she kept her voice steady. "Yes, sir." "I did." Robert Wilson's eyes studied her face, searching for something. "I would like to speak with you," he said, "and with your manager. Is there somewhere private we could talk?" Mr. Peterson stepped forward. "We can use my office, Mr. Wilson." Wilson nodded. "Thank you." He gestured toward the back. "After you." As they walked through the restaurant toward Mr. Peterson's office, Maya felt every eye following them. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was he here to threaten them personally? To offer money to make the story go away? To demand she recant her story, whatever he wanted? Maya knew one thing with absolute certainty. She would not lie. She would not apologize for defending herself, no matter what it cost her. Mr. Peterson's office felt smaller than usual, with Robert Wilson and his two assistants standing inside. Maya sat in one of the chairs facing the desk. Her hands clasped tightly in her lap to keep them from trembling. Mr. Peterson stood beside her. A show of solidarity that Maya deeply appreciated, Robert Wilson remained standing, his presence commanding even in the modest space. "Before we begin," Wilson said, his voice measured and serious, "I want to make something very clear. This conversation is not being recorded. And what I am about to say is between us." He paused, studying Maya's face. "However, I will not ask you to sign any non-disclosure agreements, nor will I ask you to lie about what happened yesterday." Maya felt a flicker of surprise. That was not what she had expected him to say. Wilson pulled out his phone and pressed a few buttons. Then he turned the screen toward Maya and Mr. Peterson. "I have watched the video of yesterday's incident at least 20 times since it was posted," he said quietly. "I have also watched my son's behavior, his words, his actions, and I have read the statements from multiple witnesses." The video played on the phone, showing Ethan grabbing Maya's arm, her calm but firm requests for him to let go, his refusal, and finally her pulling away and walking to get the manager. Maya's stomach tightened watching it again, reliving the moment. Wilson turned off the phone and put it back in his pocket. When he spoke again, his voice was heavy with emotion. "Miss Johnson, I owe you an apology, not just on behalf of my son, but as a father who clearly failed to teach him basic human decency." Maya's eyes widened in shock. This was the last thing she had expected. "My son was raised with privilege," Wilson continued. "He has never had to struggle, never had to work for anything, never been told no in any meaningful way. His mother and I thought we were giving him opportunities. But what we actually gave him was a sense of entitlement that allowed him to treat another human being the way he treated you." He paused, his jaw tight. "That is my failure as a parent. And I am deeply sorry," Mr. Peterson spoke up, his voice cautious. "Mr. Wilson, we appreciate your words. But," Wilson held up his hand, "please let me finish." He turned his full attention to Maya. After the video went viral, I had a long conversation with my son. I asked him to tell me his version of events. At first, he insisted you had overreacted, that he was just being friendly. But when I showed him the video, when I made him watch his own behavior, something in him broke. Wilson walked to the window, looking out at the crowd still gathered outside. He cried Miss Johnson for the first time since he was a child. I saw my son cry with genuine remorse. He realized that he had become someone he did not recognize, someone who could hurt another person and not even see it as wrong. Maya did not know what to say. She had spent the last day viewing Ethan as a villain, and perhaps he was, but hearing his father speak about him with such raw honesty complicated her feelings. Ethan has checked himself into a residential program that specializes in helping people understand and change problematic behaviors, Wilson said, turning back to face them. It will be a long process, and I cannot promise he will succeed, but he is trying, and that is more than he has ever done before. That is good, Maya said quietly. I hope it helps him, Wilson nodded. But I am not here just to apologize. I am here because I have been thinking about this situation from every angle. My lawyers wanted me to come here with threats, to use my influence to make this story disappear. He shook his head. I told them no, what my son did was wrong. And what you did, Miss Johnson, took remarkable courage. He pulled a business card from his pocket and handed it to Maya. I run a foundation that focuses on workplace safety and employee rights. Ironically, I have spent years funding programs to prevent exactly the kind of harassment my son perpetrated. He smiled sadly. The universe has a way of teaching us humility. Maya looked at the card. It was simple but elegant. Listing Robert Wilson as the chairman of the Wilson Foundation for Workplace Dignity, I would like to offer you a position with the foundation, Wilson said. We need someone who understands these issues not from a theoretical perspective, but from lived experience. Someone who can help us develop training programs, review policies, and speak to groups about the reality of workplace harassment. Maya's breath caught. Mr. Wilson, The salary would be substantial, Wilson continued. More than double what you make here, you would have full benefits. And the position would include opportunities for professional development and continued education. He paused. In fact, if you are interested in returning to college to complete your degree, the foundation would cover all tuition and expenses. Maya felt tears prickling her eyes. It was too much, too overwhelming. Why? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why would you do this? Wilson's expression softened. Because you did something that most people cannot do. You stood up for yourself despite the risk, despite the fear of losing your job. Despite facing someone with power and money, you showed integrity that cannot be taught. He gestured toward the window. And because your courage has already started a conversation that this country desperately needs to have, Mr. Peterson looked at Maya. This is your decision, he said gently. But if you choose to accept this offer, you will leave here with my highest recommendation and my deepest gratitude for everything you brought to this restaurant. Maya's mind raced. This opportunity could change everything for her family. She could finish her education, help her mother retire from those exhausting double shifts, ensure her brothers went to college, but more than that, she could turn her painful experience into something meaningful. She could help create change so that other workers would not have to face what she had faced. I need time to think about it, Maya said finally. This is a big decision, Wilson nodded. Of course, take all the time you need. My contact information is on that card. When you are ready, call me. And we will discuss the details. He extended his hand to Mr. Peterson. First, thank you for protecting your employee. You did what every manager should do, but too few actually do. Then he turned to Maya and offered his hand. Thank you for your courage, Miss Johnson. Regardless of your decision about the job, please know that you have already made a difference. Maya shook his hand, feeling the strength and sincerity in his grip. As Robert Wilson and his assistants left the office, Maya sat back down, her legs suddenly weak. Mr. Peterson sat beside her. Are you all right? Maya looked at the business card in her hand, then up at her manager. I think my life just changed, she whispered. Yes, Mr. Peterson said with a warm smile. I think it did. Maya spent the next 3 days in a whirlwind of emotions and careful thought. She had not told anyone except her mother and Linda about Robert Wilson's job offer, wanting time to process everything without outside pressure or opinions. Her mother had cried tears of joy, whispering prayers of gratitude. Linda had squeezed her hand and said, "Whatever you decide, I am proud of you." On Friday evening, Maya sat at her small kitchen table with a notebook in front of her. She had made a list of pros and cons, trying to approach this life-changing decision logically. But every time she looked at the list, her heart spoke louder than her head. This was not just about a better salary or finishing her degree. Though those things mattered deeply, this was about purpose. She thought about all the comments and messages she had received over the past few days. Hundreds of people had shared their own stories of workplace harassment. Many had stayed silent for years, afraid of losing their jobs or being labeled as troublemakers. Reading their stories had broken Maya's heart and ignited something fierce inside her. If her experience could help even one person find the courage to speak up, if her work could create safer workplaces for others, then she had to take this opportunity. On Saturday morning, Maya called the number on Robert Wilson's business card. Her hands trembled as she dialed, but her voice was steady when he answered. "Mr. Wilson, this is Maya Johnson," she said. "I have thought about your offer, and I would like to accept the position." There was a pause. Then Wilson's voice came through, warm with genuine pleasure. "I am very glad to hear that, Miss Johnson. When can you start?" They arranged for Maya to begin in 2 weeks. Giving her time to properly transition from the Golden Palm and prepare for her new role, Wilson explained that she would start by attending a week-long orientation at the foundation headquarters, where she would meet the team and learn about all their ongoing programs and initiatives. Mr. Peterson was disappointed to lose Maya, but genuinely happy for her opportunity. "You deserve this and so much more," he told her, tears in his eyes. "You have made this restaurant better just by being here, and you will make the foundation better too." The staff threw her a surprise going-away party on her last day, and Maya cried as she hugged Carlos, Linda, and all the others who had become her work family. Maya's first weeks at the Wilson Foundation were overwhelming in the best possible way. The foundation's offices occupied 3 floors of a modern building downtown, with bright open spaces that encouraged collaboration. Her official title was Program Coordinator for Workplace Dignity Initiatives. But her role encompassed far more than that simple description suggested. She worked with a team of lawyers, human resources professionals, and activists to develop comprehensive training programs on workplace harassment prevention. Her lived experience brought a perspective that statistics and legal definitions could never capture. When they were designing educational materials, Maya was the voice that said, "This is what it actually feels like. This is what workers need to hear." Within 3 months, Maya was speaking at conferences and corporate events, sharing her story and helping organizations understand how to create truly safe workplaces. She was nervous before her first speaking engagement, worried that people would judge her or dismiss her message. But when she finished speaking, the room erupted in applause, and a line of people formed to thank her and ask questions. The foundation also covered her tuition at the local university, and Maya enrolled in evening classes to complete her business degree. Sitting in classrooms again felt like coming home to a part of herself she had put on hold for too long. She studied hard, balancing her coursework with her job responsibilities, and she loved every challenging moment of it. 6 months after starting her new position, Maya received a message that surprised her. It was from Ethan Wilson. He had completed his residential program and was continuing with outpatient therapy. His message was simple but heartfelt. "I know I do not deserve your forgiveness, and I am not asking for it. I just wanted you to know that I am working on becoming a better person. Thank you for holding me accountable when no one else would. I am sorry for what I did to you." Maya read the message several times. She did not respond immediately. Needing time to process her feelings, eventually she wrote back, "I appreciate your apology and your willingness to change. That takes courage too. I hope your journey brings you peace." She meant it. Holding on to anger would only hurt herself, and she chose to focus on moving forward. A year after the incident at the Golden Palm, Maya was invited to testify before the state legislature about proposed workplace harassment laws. She sat at a table facing rows of elected officials, her voice clear and confident as she shared her story and advocated for stronger protections for service workers. Several of the legislators thanked her afterward, and 2 of them committed to sponsoring the bills she had supported. The Golden Palm continued to thrive, becoming known not just for excellent food but for its ethical treatment of employees. Mr. Peterson implemented new training programs based on materials developed by Maya's foundation, and the restaurant became a model for others in the industry. Maya visited sometimes, always greeted with warm hugs and Carlos's latest culinary creations. Maya's mother was able to reduce her hours at the hospital, and her brothers both received scholarships to attend college. Maya helped them with applications and essays, proud to be able to support their dreams the way they had supported hers. On quiet evenings, when her brothers called to share their excitement about classes or campus life, Maya thought about her father and knew he would be proud of all of them. 2 years after that life-changing day, Maya stood on a stage at her university graduation, receiving her diploma in front of her family, friends, and colleagues from the foundation. Robert Wilson was there too. Applauding as loudly as anyone, after the ceremony, he approached her with a smile. "Congratulations, Maya," he said. "I've been thinking, the foundation needs a new director of education and outreach. Someone who understands our mission from every angle, who has lived it and learned it and earned the respect of everyone in this field. Would you be interested?" Maya looked at him, understanding the weight and honor of what he was offering. "Yes," she said without hesitation. "I would be very interested." As the sun set that evening, Maya sat with her family at a restaurant, celebrating her graduation and her promotion. She looked around the table at the people she loved, thought about the work that gave her life purpose, and felt a profound sense of gratitude. She had not chosen the path that brought her here, the harassment, the public attention, the fear and uncertainty, but she had chosen how to respond. She had chosen courage over silence, dignity over compliance, and growth over bitterness. Maya's story inspired thousands of people, but perhaps the most important person it inspired was Maya herself. She had discovered a strength she did not know she possessed. She had learned that one moment of courage could ripple outward, creating waves of change that touched lives far beyond her own. She had found her purpose, and in doing so, she had found herself. The waitress who kicked out a billionaire's son for harassment had become a leader, an advocate and a voice for those who were still finding their own courage to speak. And every day, she worked to make sure that no one would have to face what she had faced alone, that workplaces would become safer, that dignity would be recognized as a right, not a privilege. Maya's new beginning was not just her own. It belonged to everyone whose life she touched, everyone whose workplace became safer because of the programs she developed, everyone who found courage in her story. She had taken her pain and transformed it into purpose. And in doing so, she had created something beautiful and lasting.